I recently decided to pick this book up because I was very curious to see what it's like to read this book as an adult, because I read this when I was a teenager. I have also reviewed Stormbreaker. I will link it somewhere up there for you guys. You can check that video out as well, because that was another nostalgia read. That's a very different book compared to this one. The story is about George and Lenny, and they go through the Great Depression, which is in the 1930s, and you see them struggle with a dream and also being realistic about it and trying to get money and to live life. Now, I will say, without spoiling anything, that you will learn so much, a lot about who Lenny is, and you gotta remember this book's context is in the 1930s, so there's a lot of things back then that it wasn't acknowledged nor understood at the time, and that does play into effect of the entire story. So when you read this book, you gotta remember the context of where it's putting its time period in, because there's so many layers to it as well. Now, reading this in high school was a very big deal for me as a teenager at the time. I would share my thoughts of the movie a bit later on, because that plays a little role into my review. Reading this now as an adult has definitely played its nostalgia role for me. I feel like I remember reliving every single experience I had, every feeling, every emotion based on the scenes I've been reading throughout the book, which I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of very strong emotions I felt about it. It feels like when I pick this up for the second time, it feels like I'm back at that same teenage perspective where it felt exciting, interesting, and wanting to know what happens next kind of level, and it was really good. So I rate this book 8 out of 10, which is pretty much like 4 out of 5 stars. It's really good. I am definitely keeping this copy. I am just not a fan of the story entirely. The main message I took away from this book is what it's like to deal with a dream and facing reality of trying to achieve that dream and the hardship that comes with it. So it is interesting. Will I be reading this again in the future? This is 100% no questions asked kind of level. I am going to read this in the future. I am keeping this book as well, but I just can't see myself rereading at any time soon, because it's been almost 10 years since I last read it. So I would not be surprised to read this again in the future, maybe in 10 years time. We will have to see to find out, but I am definitely keeping this. And in fact, I did see a really pretty cover that Penguin Classic has made of Mice and Men, and I am planning to get it instead of this paperback version. I don't have anything else to say other than that it lived up to the nostalgia that I never thought I had to relive, because if I didn't relive that nostalgia, I would have never known what it would have been like to reread this book again as an adult, instead of remembering every experience I had by reading every scene. Rereading this for the first time, it just feels like 10 years ago. I was 16 and this is the book I read, and this is what I experienced of back then to now. The only thing I would say, it doesn't feel the same because I've read it before. I know what was going to happen. The only thing that took me by surprise was the language. The way the author wrote this book out was definitely different to how I remembered it, but you know what, it still played into that nostalgia big time for me. So let's talk about the movie. So I remember watching this movie and I thought to myself, this ain't the book. Everything I just read in the book just doesn't feel connected in every way. However, the actors who play George and Lenny feels very close to accurate to the book's level of description, but I got no complaints there. But there is a very specific scene, and if you watch the movie you would know that at the end of the movie a really devastating scene happens. Personally, I like the book's story ending better because it became more impactful, and because it comes to a conclusion, it makes everything feels like it packs you with a punch, like it just keeps going at it constantly. Whereas the movie, it felt so quick, so meaningless, and so distant in a visual and an emotional sense. Whereas the book tells you the before and after kind of moment, and you can just tell by reading that the experience is very, very strong. That being said, I have to rate the movie 0 out of 10 because once you read the book, you've pretty much seen it all. That is all for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done that already. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!